If he goes in there with his mindset locked in, ready to go, I think he can beat him.
Even in the UFC, I was in the contract issue that I didn't want to sign a new contract.
What's next for a guy like Tom Aspinall? How will he do against a guy like John Jones?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside the Cage. Charles Oliveira under fire for Poirier comments. There is an intense wind between Charles Oliveira gunning for a rematch with Islam Makhachev. They were supposed to headline UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi last month, but Oliveira had to bow out due to a sharp cut over his eyebrow during training. While on the other side, Makhachev, instead of waiting around, went on to face Alexander Volkanovski, the featherweight champ, and pulled off his first round finish with some solid punches. Now, it looks like Makhachev is circling back for that rematch with Oliveira. And get this, if the showdown goes down, Dustin Poirier thinks Oliveira's mental game will be the game changer. Poirier is betting on Oliveira's mental strength to be the ticket to him getting that hand raised. It's shaping up to be quite the comeback story for Oliveira, fingers crossed.
If Oliveira's mindset is in it, if he's the same guy who fought me, who fought Chandler, I think he can win that fight. You know, I don't think he wanted to fight in that title fight. He looked like he didn't want to be there. You know, he quit on himself, it looked like. That's what my opinion. But I know personally he has the skills to beat the best guys in the world, and he has done that time and time again. It's just, if he goes in there with his mindset locked in, ready to go, I think he can beat him.
So, Poirier is in a bit of a waiting game while the lightweight title saga unfolds. His last bout didn't quite go his way. He lost to Justin Gaethje in their rematch at UFC 291, and Gaethje snagged the baddest motherf, Kerr BMF title. That win evened the score between them, since Poirier had taken the W in their first clash back in April 2018. Additionally, Poirier is expressing his interest in a potential trilogy bout with Gaethje, leaving room for the possibility while acknowledging the uncertainties in the sport. Just imagine the build-up and the fireworks in that matchup. Fighter enjoys UFC perks. Ngannou's still riding high after throwing down with Tyson Fury in the boxing ring. Just last month, the Predator made his boxing debut in Saudi Arabia. And let me tell you, it was a spectacle. This match was a big deal for Ngannou, the first one since leaving the UFC. And you remember how that exit went down, right? Controversy, drama, and a whole feud with Dana White over his paycheck. You know, after all that drama and controversy surrounding his exit from the UFC, it's kinda refreshing to see him back in action. But man, his boxing performance was something else. He spilled the beans on the Last Stand podcast, saying he made more in Saudi Arabia than his entire UFC career. Now, that's a comeback story worth talking about.
Whatever would have been my next fight from the moment that I left the UFC was going to be a way different from what I made. You know, because in the past 3 years, even in the UFC, I was in the contract issue that I didn't want to sign a new contract that would have given me more money, but not enough. Yeah, and also the treatment was completely different. The treatment was royal. We can go without mentioning that, man. We get a royal treatment.
As he continues to make waves in the world of boxing, one can't help but applaud Ngannou's bold move to seek what he believed he deserved. Now, one thing is for sure, the roar of Francis Ngannou echoes beyond the ring and leaves fight fans eager to witness the next chapter in his royal reign. Dillon Danis exits Duns Combat Sports. Back in October, Dillon Danis performed against Logan Paul. So, after his performance, where he didn't come out on top, Danis seems to be calling it quits. That Logan Paul fight was his first since June 2019, when he threw down at Bellator 222. Between those two bouts, Danis talked about wanting to get back in the cage, but for some reason or another, it just never happened. Then, a month after his not-so-victorious return against Paul, he jumps on social media and drops the retirement news on the entire MMA community. "I'm done with fighting. I'm retired. Love you all," Danis wrote. You know Dillon Danis, right? The guy who always keeps us guessing? Well, he's out here dropping retirement bombshells, but, should we take it seriously? Dude has an ability for drama, and it's hard to tell if he's genuinely hanging up the gloves or just fishing for attention. So, here's the scoop. According to him, he's waving goodbye to combat sports. But come on, with Danis, you never know what's up his sleeve. And get this, the retirement news hit the scene right after he was trying to lock in a deal with the UFC. He got the boot from Bellator, and he's been eyeing that UFC octagon. But here's the twist, he told the MMA Hour before UFC 295 that he'd rather retire than settle for a Contender Series spot. Maybe that's what they threw his way? The plot thickens, my friend.
I'd rather retire, bro.
Hey, yo, Sean O'Malley went Contender Series.
I don't care. I'm not Sean O'Malley, bro. I'm bigger than him. I have the most followers than any welterweight in the whole in all MMA.
Really?
So yeah.
Everybody wants to see me in the UFC, Danis explained. People think that I just did a boxing match, that my jiu-jitsu isn't on a different level. I'll fight Islam Makhachev first fight. I'll fight any of them first fight, I swear. At the end of the day, if I lose, I lose. I could do 155 or 170. Holland, an easy fight. Give me a warm-up. This is too easy. He has no takedown defense, and I think I'd submit him in the first round. Retirement or not, it seems like Danis is still game to throw down, if the right opportunity comes knocking. This guy sure knows how to keep the MMA world on its toes. Henry Cejudo demands a new MMA era. Tom Aspinall is out here playing spoiler for the Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic showdown. So, get this. Jones was all set to defend his heavyweight title against Miocic at UFC 295, but then, bam! Jones goes and tears his pectoral muscle. However, Aspinall just threw a wrench in the works, and now, even Henry Cejudo's losing interest in the whole Jones versus Miocic drama.
A Tom Aspinall like that is able to do that to somebody with like Sergey, who only has one loss, 19 knockouts, it says a lot. Will Sergey come back the same? You know, these are questions that we need to add. But what's next for a guy like Tom Aspinall? How will he do against a guy like Jon Jones? How will he do against a guy like Stipe Miocic? That's only time to tell. But I personally think I like this fight better now for Jon Jones. And that's Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. I like that better than the Stipe fight. I'm jumping ship. Why? Because this fight, the Jones-Stipe saga has gone on for several years now that I've lost interest. But I will say something. That new kid on the block, Tom Aspinall, that people are super high about, that has knockout power, that has agility. It reminds me a lot of Cyril Gane, but with bigger power. He's dangerous. He is super, super dangerous.
Let's not forget Aspinall's next move after his win. Straight up called out Jon Jones. Essentially, Dana White's been laying out the plan. Despite the hiccup with Jones' torn muscle and the cancellation of the fight against Miocic, White's saying they want to rebook that showdown once Jones is back in the game. And get this, the winner of that potential clash? Supposedly, they'll throw down with Aspinall. Now that's some heavyweight chess right there. UFC 297 surprise stirs controversy. In the last month, Boers pulled off a major win at UFC 294 against Kamaru Usman in a middleweight clash. Later on, Dana White had everyone buzzing, saying the winner would be next in line for Sean Strickland's title. But here is an alert. The UFC goes and books Strickland's first title defense against Dricus du Plessis at UFC 297 in Toronto. January 20th, 2023. Mark your calendar. Despite the hype for Chimaev, turns out Strickland's manager, Lance Spod, spilled the beans that the matchup was never even on the table. Man, the fight game can be as unpredictable as it gets. Never even brought up in the discussion, Spod told MMA Mania on Sound and Amp Pound. I don't know what Chimaev and his team are looking to do, but yeah, it wasn't even really an option. Maybe they're looking down the road. Maybe his wrist or hand is as bad as they say it is. You hear a bunch of things. Sean's a guy who will do what the UFC asks him to do when they ask him to do it, as long as everything naturally makes sense for him, he concluded. Dricus du Plessis was on the fast track to a UFC title shot before Strickland swooped in. Also, Spuade believes that du Plessis deserves more credit than he's given, considering his ability to win fights despite unconventional or seemingly fatigued performances. While Strickland takes a detour and challenges Israel Adesanya at UFC 293 in September 2023. And guess what? He pulls off the upset, beating the last stylebender with a unanimous decision. Now, these two upset champions, Strickland and du Plessis, are on a collision course. Du Plessis is out here trying to work his magic again. Man, the twists and turns in this fight game are something else. Alright guys, that's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. See you at the next one. Until then, goodbye.